Okay, we are live. 5-3 win for the Stars in Game 1. Garrett Jones, Ryan Lochead here with you. Connor might be hopping in on the stream at some point, but some pretty clear emotion there from Ryan. We were just talking before we got on the podcast. Game 1 win for the Stars. They're up 1-0 in the series. And my friend, we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but 12 goals in 2 games, the Stars might have something here.
Yeah, it certainly looks like they carried that 7-goal momentum directly over into Game 1 and just continued the offensive dominance that is your Dallas Stars.
And that's so weird to say, right? And it was strange for me personally because I was watching in the first period and Dallas gets off to such a great start, early lead. They end up scoring 5 goals. I'm like, this does not feel like the Stars. It doesn't feel like the team that we've been watching since the NHL regular season started almost a whole calendar year ago. Their brand is back checking and strong goaltending play, right? But suddenly things have just completely flipped in a week and they are scoring goals at will.
Yeah, 12 goals in 2 games is pretty good. And these weren't easy, fluky goals either. All these goals were well battled, team goals and some really good shots in the mix as well. So it's nice to see everything kind of clicking at exactly the right time.
In case you're just now joining us, this is the Dallas Stars Fanatic Podcast. Feel free to drop questions in the YouTube chat, and we'll get to them before we wrap it up. But let's break down the scoring. We mentioned this in our Game 6 recap yesterday. Hard to believe that was yesterday. This is quick-moving Stanley Cup playoffs in the NHL bubble. The Stars need production from Tyler Seguin and Ben Bishop, who hopefully they'll see at some point in this series. But Seguin gets things going right off the rip. 4 minutes in, he puts Dallas up 1-0.
Yeah, that was a great goal from Seguin. He trailed the play. He was patient, and when that puck popped out there, he did exactly what he's paid a lot of money to do, and that's score goals. Yep. You could see from the emotion on his face how relieved he was to finally see one hit the back of that net. He was full Tyler Seguin scream fist pump mode.
Right. Yeah, that was big for Dallas. They went up 1-0. You felt good about the night after taking that first goal lead, but then Nathan MacKinnon just 64 seconds later shows why he is the league MVP. I give you credit, Ryan, because you pointed out in the last episode he's probably got the quickest hands in the league aside from McDavid, and he showed it on that goal. That was pure skill.
It truly was. He's the best player in the league for a reason. It's almost like you have to put slow-mo TV mode on just to see his hands operate like a regular human being, because those things are boom, 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 boom. It's, if he wasn't scoring on us right now, it'd be a thrill to watch. But he's just a guy you're going to have to handle all series. It's going to happen. You just have to try to stop the bleeding a little bit.
Right. Colorado, we mentioned a team that can score at will. Dallas kept them at bay in the first. Blake Como with his first goal of the postseason. Alexander Radulov 7 minutes later, and the Stars were up 3-1. And Ryan really had a command on this game going into the first intermission.
Yeah, they really did. It was good to see. A hot start in the playoffs usually translates to wins, and it was good seeing guys like Como get on the board. And like you mentioned a few seconds ago, Radulov's part of that top line, and him getting that offensive production as well is something you absolutely love to see.
That was your first period score, 3-1. In the second, early on, Gabriel Landeskog, Colorado's captain, draws them back within 1. But on a breakaway, a 4-on-4, Alexander Radulov on the breakaway, a juicy rebound, as Razor Ray would say, with the Stars up 3-2 off the pad of Colorado's goalie, Francois. We'll get to that in a minute. Philip Grubauer left the game due to injury, but a really nice play for Radulov off the Seguin miss.
Yeah, the miss is an underrated part of this goal because it just shows how on point Tyler Seguin was tonight. That's one of those shots that he's looking for a rebound there. It's a low percentage one. If it goes in, great, but he wants a juicy rebound because there's going to be a really, really skilled hockey player trailing him for an easy goal.
Right. And I skipped over it. I didn't mean to, certainly, because this was a development that could change the series, right? Phil Grubauer has been excellent in net for Colorado. In case you missed it, in the offseason, they decided to part ways with Semyon Varlamov, who's pretty much been their guy for the better part of 5 years. He's an above average NHL goalie, and you see what he's doing for the Islanders right now, and you see why. And then a lot of fans kind of questioned the move to go to Philip Grubauer. He's a guy who backed up Braden Holtby in Washington for a long time. He's one of those guys that kind of like Hudobin is on the fringe as to whether he could be a 1 in the NHL, but he proved that he could in the regular season and in the Stanley Cup playoffs so far. But midway through that second, Ryan, he took a really bad injury. I thought initially there was contact in front of the net from the Stars, but it looked like he just went down in his own accord.
Yeah, those non-contact injuries are always pretty brutal. You really hate to see something like that happen to a guy who's been playing really good hockey. You never want anybody to get hurt, and I hope he has a speedy recovery there. It looked pretty gruesome. Right. He could barely get off the ice.
Yeah, it looked like a right knee injury, and you're right. He was very slow to get up. Colorado sent the trainers out really quickly, but it slowed down the game significantly. That didn't stop Nathan MacKinnon from making things interesting in front of the net after Jamie Benn missed a wide-open net on the other end. Momentum for Colorado, and MacKinnon tips it right in.
Yeah, MacKinnon, again, he's not just a sniper. He's an intelligent hockey player that puts himself in goal-scoring situations, and that's what happens.
He's the Hart Trophy winner for a reason. That was your second period score, 4-3 Dallas. A pretty even third period at the start of it. And another guy that we mentioned, Rope Hintz, seals the deal for Dallas. The Stars need production out of Bishop, Sagan, and Hintz, and then they'll have gotten production out of everybody in the bubble. And you see Hintz there finally break the seal and push it past for his first postseason goal.
Yeah, it was great to see it go in. That was a great play from the moment the puck was in the zone. Klingberg with a hard body stop of the puck there, pops out to Dickinson, and he makes a nifty little backhand pass to Rupe, and all he had to do was put it in the top corner, and that's easy for a guy like him.
Couple quick hitting numbers for you. The Stars put 30 shots on net, the Avalanche 31. That's pretty much what we're going to be expected to see throughout the whole series. That's going to be a very even statistic because Dallas consistently outshot Calgary and performed better in the 5-on-5 in the first round series. But as you mentioned, Colorado is such a good offensive team, so quick. They're going to put a lot on net too. Dallas won more faceoffs. They went 0-for-2 on the power play. And we mentioned kind of in the last episode, we don't really know if the power play issues are fully behind the Stars. The goal scoring issues seem to be relatively at bay right now, but the power play is still a bit of a question mark.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll just have to see how it unfolds kind of going forward. You always want to score on there. You always want to stop it on the other side. So be interested to see how it unfolds.
Agree or disagree, Dallas was the more physical team tonight?
Agree.
Yeah, the numbers back you up as well.
Yeah, I think that they were clicking on in every facet of the game from the goaltender down, and yeah, they were stronger.
48 hits for Dallas, 21 blocks. The Avs throw 41 bodies and block 12 shots. Anton Hudobin, pretty strong in net tonight. Obviously got the start over Ben Bishop, who is still unfit to play. It remains to be seen whether he'll get in this series at all. He stops 25 of 28 shots, 3 for 3 on the power play. What do you think of Dobie tonight?
Man, he looks solid. It's very refreshing having a backup goalie who can definitely be a starter anywhere. You can tell that he's just, doing his job. The defensive chemistry's there already. He doesn't have to learn on the fly. It's not like he's been cold. So if there's one goalie in the league that I trust back, in the backup position, it might be Dobby.
And on the other end, with Grubauer gone for what could be multiple games, how do you feel about the Stars' chances against Philip Francouz?
I like him, especially since we, put some behind him tonight. His confidence is probably going to be a little shot. He's going to be a little shook. And I expect us to put more pucks in the net.
It's actually Pavel Francouz. That's my bad. I mixed up the two Avs goalies. But Pavel Francouz, a first-year player for the Avs, he only played in one game in the bubble prior to playing up against the Coyotes on August 15th. That was against the Stars, and he shut them out. So certainly a little interesting tidbit at that point. But Dallas seemed to have the advantage when he was on the ice tonight. And when you come in already having 3 on the board, that certainly changes things as well. I heard on the broadcast earlier tonight, Josh Bogorad, the Stars play-by-play commentator on Fox Sports Southwest, threw out a stat. The teams that win Game 1 in the best of 7 Stanley Cup playoff series, they have won over 400 games. They've lost only 400 series, I should say. They've lost only 200. How do you feel about the Stars' chances in general after winning that Game 1?
Well, according to the math, it sounds like we're in a pretty good position. So I'll take that every day of the week.
Yeah, I don't have the exact numbers, but those are pretty stark odds. And we saw there were only there was only one team in the first round that didn't win its series. Oh, sorry, there was only one team that won its first round series after not winning game one. That one team was the Dallas Stars. They dropped an egg in game one, but all other 7 teams that advanced won their first round games. So that's interesting. And even though the Stars were kind of trend busters there in the first round, still winning that game one is so valuable, especially against a team like Colorado who can turn around and put a game like this right behind them.
Absolutely. I agree.
Any big takeaways that you're looking at after the Stars, after that performance?
You can only take away good things from a win like that, especially when the top line guys finally kind of broke through and showed why they're paid that money and why they are the top guys. So I expect a lot of confidence, just being directly injected into the veins of those guys, and they're going to come out and probably lay it on them again in game 2. I do miss our local broadcasters. That's one thing that stood out to me. There was a slight hesitation I noticed from the national guys. So I miss
Hey, it's always available on the radio broadcast on 1310 The Ticket. I was listening as I was leaving work today. So it will fortunately be able to keep up with him, hopefully, for a couple of rounds. I'm sure that those guys enjoy transitioning to radio for sure. One thing that I noticed, I don't know if you caught this story yesterday, the Stars went to the home of the Edmonton Eskimos CFL team.
That was pretty neat.
What's the Edmonton CFL Edmonton CFL mascot? It's completely escaped me at this point. It is the Edmonton Eskimos. Okay, I just want to make sure at that point that name hadn't been changed for better or for worse. But no, they went to the home of the Edmonton Eskimos in Edmonton. They got out. Every single Star had their shirt off. It looked like in the pictures and social media. It looked like they were enjoying it. And I don't know about you, Ryan. They seem like a group that's in a place where they want to be right now. They're enjoying it, and you're kind of seeing those results in the ice.
Yeah, hockey's more, it's a mental game, and it's a group of people, it's a group of guys coming together, and when the chemistry's flowing like that and everybody's buddies and having a good time, usually good things happen. So it was nice to see them, with their shirts off, kicking balls at a CFL stadium, escaping the bubble for a little bit. I'm sure Tyler Sagan was the one who stripped his shirt off first.
I think you're probably right. He and Klingberg love soccer. They're famously known for kicking soccer balls around the hallways of the AAC before Stars home games, and we hope to see that next soon. But I'm glad for their sake that they got to rekindle that habit. And I think for me, that kind of just goes back to a point that Connor made yesterday, and we kind of discussed the Stars coaching situation. I think that Rick Bowness is more than proving himself worthy of this job every single day. We saw in St. Louis last year, Craig Berube did obviously a bang-up job in the regular season, but if the Blues don't make that playoff run, is there less hesitation towards hiring him full-time? I think there is. And I think you're kind of seeing that with Rick Bowness right now. He's buying into these guys. He's one of the oldest coaches in the NHL, and yet he knows how important it is for those guys to get out, get some camaraderie in this weird situation that he's made clear that, it's truly strange. It's unprecedented. He knows the importance of that. And I think his ability to adapt to a younger team and his guys specifically is proving his worth again.
Yeah, a coach is definitely more than the X's and the O's. It's managing personalities, it's managing athletes. So for him to, kind of seem to get everybody on the same page here, whoever came up with that idea to go to the CFL stadium was awesome, because you could tell that
I think it was bonus.
It was a big sigh of relief. So yeah, I completely agree with you.
Game 2 is set for Monday night. Unfortunately, Stars fans, it's another late putt drop, 8:45 p.m. And if you don't like that, I've got some bad news for you. Game 3 is set for 9:30 p.m. and then Game 4 is 9 o'clock. So we anticipate that, if the Stars can play well in any of those games, then it's going to be worth staying up for. But I know that's going to be tough for some Stars fans, including myself, to hang in there. But certainly the way that they're playing right now, it's worth staying up for. I'm looking at last year, how the Stars performed in the second round versus St. Louis. And St. Louis did take game 1. Dallas responded with wins in game 2, 4, 5, and ultimately they lost Game 7. Do you think that their experience going to the third round for the second round, for the third time in 5 years bodes well for them?
Yeah, I think so. It's a situation they've been in, and it's a situation that they failed in. So there's going to be an added motivation to get that, monkey off your back about always getting bounced in the second round. They probably want to break through more than any other team in the playoffs right now.
Right. Dallas wins 5-3. They're up 1-0 in the series. Any final thoughts before we close it out?
They looked awesome. Go Stars.
They did look awesome. They certainly look awesome. Then Dallas really might have something in the work. Either way, we'll have coverage for you to break it down. DallasSportsFanatic.com. Follow Ryan on Twitter at Lockdown21. Follow me on Twitter at GJones on air. And keep an eye out for Connor's game recaps on DallasSportsFanatic.com. You can find this podcast on Spotify now. We'll take the live YouTube audio and go ahead and just throw it on there. So if you ever miss an episode of our live breakdowns, don't worry, we've got you covered. We'll be back probably game 3 of post-game reaction the very next day. We'll kind of play it by ear and go off the schedule of these two fine analysts. But for now, signing off from my broadcast partner, Ryan, this has been the Dallas Stars Fanatic Podcast. Join us back for game 2, Stars up 1-0 in the series.